Well, hey, friends, I'm Rebecca, and you're listening to Resilience with Rebecca, a place where real people have real conversations about real life. We sometimes talk about the messy middle, but we always talk about getting back up. Today, I'm honored to have my guest, Brian, who is originally from Lansing, Michigan, but now is a resident of my hometown, Yuba City, California, since 2005. Brian is the founder and CEO of the nonprofit Be Extra and is employed at Adventist Health and Rideout in radiology as a PACS administrator. He just retired as the boys varsity basketball coach at Calusa and is married to Marissa and is a dad and a bonus dad. Brian's attempting to bring kindness in all he does to the community, all while being transparent and removing masks to help others do the same. Turning grief into purpose while navigating life's hard stuff is Brian's motto. Welcome,
Absolutely.
Brian.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I had the privilege of meeting you just in person just
Yes.
short weeks ago because I had heard about your awesome organization, and
Oh, thank you.
I am privileged to have you on here and be able to support one of our local peeps.
All right. All right.
That's always fun for me.
It is.
And in a nutshell, real quick, tell us what Be Extra is all about.
So be extra in the nutshell is fill in the gaps. So we just fill in where it's needed. So if someone needs food, someone needs clothes, someone needs a shower, someone needs resources for housing. We kind of set all of that up. We have a location here in Yuba City, right in front of Target, and then we also have a Marysville location that just opened a couple of weeks ago, right across the street. That's from Sierra Central on 4th Street there in Marysville. Our Yuba City spot has everything from showers, clothes, food, and all of those fill in the gap kind of things. And then we also have Pneumacare in here where they can help you get housing and that type of thing. So we are one stop shop when it comes to filling the gaps.
Awesome. So I encourage you, if you are a local Yuba City or Marysville person, to check out beextra.org and find out what Brian's got going on over there.
You got it. You can jump on one of our spin booths or photo booths too to kind of see what we do to help fund this. So come on over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Brian, this show we talk about resilience, and I know a little
Yes.
bit about your story, and so I know
Hmm.
you have built a lot of resilience over your lifetime. But I would ask if you're willing to share with the audience today when life asked a little bit more of you than you were ready for, how do you
Got
feel like resilience jumped to the forefront in your life?
Um, it's kind of put on you. You either got two choices: is to do it or not do it. And life threw some things at me that I just had to simply do. Again, I'm from Lansing, Michigan. I was a single father for a number of years. Um, and that was hard. Financially it was hard. Juggling everything, that was hard. And I know I found myself kind of asking God, why am I, in this situation? I'm a single dad for so long. But I thought I handled it well and kind of navigated through the things. And then I had the opportunity to move out here to California. And a few years later, I met my wife, Rebekah, and we got married. We merged our families, that type of thing as far as kids go. And unfortunately, she passed away in 2015, and it was sudden, it was instant, type of thing. And I kind of had to figure out, what are we going to do? She had two kids already, and we had a child together, and I already had three kids. And how do I make this work? Now I'm a single dad again, nowhere near by choice. And I had to figure it out. How do we get through this? How we do this together? And I just remember sitting in the living room like, how am I going to possibly do this, God, to get it done? Because it's nothing I planned for, it's nothing I set up for. But life threw some stuff at me. So I had to jump in with 2 feet and then kind of navigate the hard stuff, and kind of deal with it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you feel like were some of the things that one of the things you were able I guess you said jump in with both feet. So what are some
Hmm.
things that you feel like you could embrace during that season?
Well, one, being a dad, I had to embrace that full time. And that had a whole lot of pieces to it because I now have two bonus children that also have a father and how to navigate that, that have lost their mom. I have a 3 year old or almost 3 year old who needed his mom as well. How do I navigate that? And then still have my older children that I need to be there for. So dad was number one that I had to kind of figure some things out, all while doing all the other stuff when it came to work, when it came to coaching. But at the end of the night, I always call it my 10 and 7, 10 o'clock p.m. I've kind of reflected the day and like, man, I can't believe all of this has happened to us. Then at 7 a.m., I wake up and then same thing. It's like, oh, was that a dream? But no, it actually happened. It was real. And then we got to go relive the day again. So first starting out with that is being a dad and how can I go through and, live like that. But being a single dad, um, early on back in Michigan, I learned how to navigate already. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know that that was my purpose at one point, that I was going to need to have those skills again in order to make this work. And, life throws things at you, and God plans things that we don't know about. And that was one of the things. But he kind of gave me some of those tools to do it. Was I perfect? Absolutely not. But I was able to do the best I could, and we got through. And years later, as you mentioned, I got remarried to my wife, Marissa. She has two kids. We did a whole blended thing on all different types of levels. So whoever out there, you can get through it. You just got to push through. And it was tough. I won't lie. It was very, very tough. But resilience was the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there were a lot of times during those tougher seasons.
Hmm.
Even now, I know that even now there's been tough seasons even recently.
Oh, yes.
What do you do when you feel like giving up in those seasons?
Again, you got two choices, and I know that I'm here for a purpose, and I just bled into the purpose. As you talk about recently, I had some health issues when it came to I was in heart failure, or I'm still in heart failure, but it's getting a lot better, and hopefully, in the next couple months, I'll be able to change that statement. But as I'm going through it, feeling awful, barely could get off the couch. I kind of look back at 2015 and what it took for me to get off the couch then after losing a spouse. Um, I knew I had to do it. And I was going to the cardiologist saying, I'm going to be your best patient. I'm going to figure this out at home, have my wife helping me out, my kids helping me out. Um, and at the time, I was still coaching basketball as well. So I just had a lot of people that depended on me. But in the same token, I knew I needed to take some time outs. And it was kind of ironic. I'm in heart failure, but I was always giving my heart out. I was always bleeding out to other people, but I kind of neglected myself a little bit. I was running from place to place, meeting to meeting, trying to set up everything in the community, but kind of forgot about Brian. And so I think it happened for a reason for sure, as everything does. But it forced me to take a mandatory timeout, reflect on life, going back, from childhood all the way on. And I needed to reprioritize some things. So I know I can't do it by myself, but I need to rely and trust on others, like our volunteers, my family, all of that kind of thing. Other people can help me do, and I just need to have that trust. So trust is a big thing, and then I just knew that I needed to get back on my feet and kind of reprioritize.
Why do you think it's so hard for people like us? I will throw myself in
Hmm.
the same category.
Uh-huh.
We want to do good. We want to we want other people not to have to deal with a lot of the pain we've had to deal with,
Correct.
and we push through. Like you said, you gave out your heart, like you were constant.
Hmm.
Your heart was in everything you were doing. Why is it so hard for people like that to? Why do you think it's so hard for us to allow ourselves that same grace we give to others?
Well, I think we don't want to let others down. And I think we're trying to be there for everybody all the time. And a lot of times we can see the struggles, we can see what they're going through, and we don't want that to happen to them. So we jump in front of it. We take on more than we need to. Our shoulders are only built to handle so much, but we just don't want to fail anyone. And I know that's definitely my case. I just don't want anyone to fail. And if they can learn from something I've been through, I'm automatically in it. But one thing I noticed is not everybody wants or needs your help. And I know my daughter has told me this a few times, like, Dad, I just want you to listen. I don't need you to fix it. I just want you to listen. And it's hard to have that, mentality because everything I do, if it's coaching, I need to fix it. If it's a broken play and we need to score, I need to fix it. If it's something in the community that, I feel like we need to bring attention to, I need to fix it. Something in my family, need to fix it. But sometimes I need to sit back, absorb, and some things aren't for me to fix. And I don't know about you, it's hard for us to sit things down when we see, that kind of something getting ready to run into the wall. We're just trying to step in and do it. And it's hard. And there's a mental part of that too. But I'm sure you'll know that and we can talk about that as
No, dig
well.
into
Yeah. So,
it. I
uh,
love to hear
you
your
know,
thoughts.
the mental side of it too is again not wanting to let anyone down.
Mhm.
um and then when we step back and when we're thinking we're failing, that comes back to us. Depression can set in because we take on so much for other people. um I know I was big on absorbing other people's problems because they brought it to me. I didn't compartmentalize it enough to say that's not mine, and if I can't fix it, go on. I still care about you, I still have it. But if somebody comes to me with five problems, I'm absorbing it all the way. And I found myself up at night thinking about their problems. And
Mm,
I got mine going on at the same time. So I'm losing sleep. I'm doing all of that. Depression can set in, anxiety can set in. I'm literally having anxiety for somebody else, and they don't even know it.
right.
Not that they don't care, but they don't care because they got their own things going on, and I, whatever reason, absorb it. So I'm learning to do differently now. So taking that time out was a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
I'm gonna
Brian,
switch cameras. Is that okay?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let me try this.
We seem to have the camera issue a couple of times since we've started today.
Correct.
There we go.
All right. How about that? We'll just use this view.
Well, what has resilience looked for you? Like we've mentioned several, like you had to take this season where you had to kind of step back.
Yes.
Your health demanded it of you.
Hmm.
Your body had probably been telling you for a long time to
Absolutely.
relax. I know me. I ignore the signs.
Yep.
I ignore the signals. Oh, it'll get better. I've got a little bit
Hmm.
of my mom in me where she one broke her shoulder and wouldn't go. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. That's how we were raised, right? It'll be fine. Next play. Next play.
I'm not as tough as she was, though.
Yeah.
Was she was made
Yeah.
of some good
They were
stuff.
built different. They were built different.
Yeah. Well, when days you don't feel as strong, what does resilience look like to you?
It's God for me and prayer. I take it to prayer all the time. I'm in constant prayer all day. Trying to get through. Um, Sometimes I know when I'm weak, I just ask for strength.
Mm,
And if I don't have the answer, I'm asking for the answer to get through, to make it through the day so I can get to that 7 a.m. and do it again the next time. But for me, I instantly take it to prayer now. When before I would try, here we go with the fix it thing again. I would try to fix it first, and not ask for God's help. And Pastor Doug, my pastor, always says, like, why don't you give God his job description back? And that makes so much sense. Um, Plus, we don't like to take the little things to prayer and to God. Like, I'll fix that on my own. I'll save that for big stuff. And I had to kind of reprioritize that. So, um, short answer, I just take everything to God that I
yeah. When everything else fails, then you pray.
can. Yes, you got correct. And that I don't get that. It's like start there. and then pray through the good stuff too. So I'm a huge thing about celebrating the small wins. You know, if something is small, I'm celebrating it. That's where the word extra comes from. Is I'm trying to enjoy life. I'm trying to smile as much as possible and lead with kindness. But you got to celebrate those small wins. And with me, I'm celebrating those small wins, and I take that to prayer as well.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, let me challenge you just a little bit on the prayer thing. I'm
Love it.
a person of faith, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe you're correct when you say that, but there are people out there that
Mm-hmm.
struggle with that because
Yes.
they don't feel like God hears their prayers and they don't feel any
Mm-hmm.
better after they pray.
Absolutely.
Done all the things you said to do and nothing's changing, nothing's get better. What about them? How would you encourage them?
Well, it starts with faith. For the first thing, if you don't have faith, why are you even taking it to God, right? And I hear so many people say, I'll give you a quick little story with when my wife, Rebekah, passed away in 2015. I had a few people come to me and say, aren't you mad at God for doing that? And I said, no, I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what his plan is, but I'm definitely not mad.
Hmm.
um, I'm just looking for answers to get through. So, I think I had a good foundation growing up with my parents to putting that into play. Um, but I see that all the time, like, why don't you take it to prayer? No, prayer doesn't help. Or you see signs all the time. We don't need prayer, we need change. We see that kind of thing out there. But if we don't take it with faith first, and sometimes we got to go through that uncomfortable and understand that it's just a season.
Hmm.
Here in Yuba City, we went through a really bad windstorm for the last few days.
Oh my goodness,
Um, you know,
ridiculous.
trees down, sheds blown away, and all of that. But one thing is that the wind was going to stop blowing at some point.
Hmm.
So you got to anchor down, have that firm foundation, and then let the fresh wind blow in. Sometimes it's just needed, but we just have to hold on. And that's my message to folks. If you just hold on, keep praying, and let things happen because trouble doesn't last always.
Yeah, season. I've told my kids that many a times. Just remember, this is just a season. You know,
Just the season.
you know, all
Hmm.
the baby diaper changing, toddler
Hmm. Hmm.
stuff, and all that, and life's just that one day fades into another. And sometimes they'll look at me like, does it ever get any easier? And I said, no, it just
Yes.
different.
Yep, it just changes and rotates. My basketball analogy, and I don't know how much you know about basketball on that end, but I call it pivot and pump fakes. Like sometimes the play just calls for you to go lay it up, but there's someone in your way to block your shot, and that's
Mhm.
what life does. Life is ready to block your shot, and it's coming at you. And I always say, well, the Bible said it first is the enemy's creeping right outside your door, and you have to know it's coming. Um, and that's what I tell people too. You have to know that problems are going to happen. You're going to be uncomfortable through some stuff. Just hold on and get through. But you got to lead with faith. That's to kind of answer your question. You have to go in with faith, just like you do when you sit down in the chair. You know the chair is going to hold you up, but you sit down. You don't question it.
Mhm.
You just sit down. So that's what we have to do as far as taking things with
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like your chair analogy.
prayer. I took that from my dad. So Deacon Davis, thank you. Appreciate that.
And as far as your basketball,
Hmm.
I was a huge basketball fan when I was a kid. I
All
had
right.
I had a poster of Larry Bird in my room my entire.
Oh yeah, we would have been arch rivals because Magic Johnson's my favorite player.
I was just gonna say, I bet you're a Johnson fan.
You
I
got
just
it from Lansing,
I
Michigan,
love that.
hometown.
I love that era of
Yes,
basketball. It was
a-
just so much fun.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, bring it back.
I like to watch the videos now where
Oh
they're
yeah,
about this back then, and
yep,
it's now. I just sit and watch those things and just laugh.
correct. And we just look like like Larry Bird. Couldn't stand Larry Bird growing up, but now I super respect this game, and he's one of the best that ever done it.
Oh
So
yeah,
sometimes it takes maturity to kind of see those things, but I love that kind of thing right there.
absolutely, absolutely. So when you feel like you are in, I know we've talked a little bit about you lean into your faith. You've talked a little
Hmm.
bit about the loss that you've experienced.
Hmm.
And do you feel like there's parts of yourself? I know there's parts of yourself, there's parts of yourself that have changed during that time, but
Absolutely.
are there parts of yourself that you hear differently
Oh
after
yeah.
the season?
Yeah, yeah. It changed me dramatically. And like you said, I hear myself differently walking through the seasons, and I see how I handle things differently as well. Um, Grief is tough for me. We started a Grief with Hope group a few years ago, and that's what we kind of lead with. Jennifer Sodders is running that now pretty much. But when we first start talking about it, that's what everybody brought up is difference. Year one looks different than year two. Year
Absolutely.
three looks different. It kind of goes through. And then for me, when grief happens again, because I've had some tough losses since then. I lost my best friend.
Mhm.
I lost an uncle. Actually, I just recently lost an uncle. A week and a half ago,
Mhm.
and I have to hear it differently because I was blessed enough not to have a whole lot of losses growing up, and then through my 20s and 30s, and then life happened, and I do. I just handle things differently. I hear things differently. Much more patient than I was. I still internalize a little bit too much, but I'm a work in
A work in progress.
progress. You
I think
got
we're
it.
always a work in progress.
Yes, absolutely. Always growing and learning.
Absolutely. That's the key. I was just going to say that. It's just as long as you are willing to grow and learn, you're always going to be a work in progress.
You got it. You got it. Because you got to check the ego at the door. And I let that happen. And then for me, being transparent, like being open with you right now, there was a time that there's no way I could have done this. I don't want people knowing my business. I don't want to look vulnerable. But again, talking about the grief group is that's the first thing is you are as vulnerable. Everybody knows what happened. You're not hiding it from anyone. You're getting it set. So I kind of use my grief and pain to help other people because we relate.
Yeah. 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 So how do you encourage people to step forward when they're say that you run into somebody today
Hmm.
and they have just lost somebody or
Oh, yes,
they have just suffered something catastrophic because I mean we talk a lot about grief because you and I have both experienced a lot of grief and we talked
yes,
about
ma'am.
it a lot.
Hmm.
But there are other things that hit just as hard as grief in a different way. And
Absolutely.
you meet that person today and they've lost all hope.
Hmm.
How do
So
you
my first thing that I present to them is it's gonna hurt. I think for sometimes they're looking for the instant comfort, and is not there. You're gonna be up at night. When you wake up, you're gonna wonder if that was a dream. So I deal with it with them with the reality side of it first. Going back to adding in the question of like, what do you hear differently? That's the part of it is things are different, because when I experienced my loss with my late wife Rebecca, um, I was different to other people because they know me as Brian, but Brian and Rebecca. So I look different. And then she passes away and I'm still whatever with them, but they don't know how to handle me or talk to me because it looks different. And so I have to hear that and not take it personal. I don't know if that makes any sense, but um, I lost a number of people after having a significant loss. Um, some of her friends, family, that type of thing that I thought I was whatever with, but it was because we were together. And no knock against them. Um, they have their own grief when it comes to losing her as well. But I heard it differently. And so now I hear different than I did back then. And so I take those examples now and just give it to people. And like it hurts and it's gonna hurt. A lot of it's not gonna go away. You just got to know how to keep on moving. And so I think with that, it just turns super personal because you want the world to stop. You want the world to stop and you get off of it and to go handle your stuff, but it doesn't.
right?
I call it the 2 week rule, right? When someone passes away, they're bringing you food, you got flowers at your door, people are checking on you. But 2 weeks after that, the
They've
food
gone.
stops coming, the flowers stop, the phone call stop checking in, and it's not their fault. They've got life to live. They can't possibly sustain that. So you have to find a way to keep on going after that. And we do it to other people. When somebody passes, we want to reach out and give our condolences, but there's not a calendar invite to check in every 3 months or,
Right.
kind of do that. And then what do you say? Because some people are uncomfortable talking to you about your own grief. And then some
Right.
people are too comfortable talking to you about your grief. They ask some questions like, I can't believe somebody asked me that. So I could tell you a whole bunch, but that'd be a whole different show.
Yeah, I remember like the some of the platitudes, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because like you said, people don't know what to say, but they
Absolutely.
like they're in a better place, or at least they're not this, or at least they're not that. In my mind, I'm
Hmm.
thinking, oh, this is a better place. They should be
Yes,
here.
yes,
They should be right here with me where they
yes,
belong.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, when we talk about it as personal, it's selfish too. Like the losses, we don't want to lose them, for us. And
Right.
they, like you said, they should be here with me. It's better here. But, God has a different plan, and it's super hard to kind of take that because, again, going back to the grief group, is that's where it comes from. And a lot of people talk about, it's my grief, and it is. You can grieve how you need to, and grief is yours. And it's super, super selfish, but you just have to know everybody grieves in their own
Right. 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 Yeah, I know a lot of times the and based on who you lose, sometimes the way people
way.
respond to it is different. I was kind of surprised
Oh, yes.
with my parents, the difference in people's response between my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
night and day. And I was
Yes.
kind of surprised because it's like, wait, I love that one just as much as I do the other one. And
Yes.
it felt like, for lack of a better way to put it, the world forgot one
Hmm.
and I'd lost the other. And
Yeah.
I kind of took it personally for a little bit, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had to give that up because I didn't want to carry anything else. But I guess
Correct.
that
Correct.
that grief gets heavy sometimes when you're trying to carry it.
It is. And we rate it, right? We're trying to, like you said, like one is better than the other one. Well, I lost my mom. That's different than losing a spouse. Or I lost
Yeah,
it's on the person, and
right,
it's super, super hard. Like I shouldn't say we lost my mother-in-law at the end of the year last year. And then again, that's when I started with my heart issues and all of that at the same time. But it hit me hard. How much she meant to me and where she was with me. Um, you know, my parents are back home in Michigan, and she opened her arms up to me just like that. And not that I was prepared for it, but I think people kind of looked at it like that was just,
just yeah,
your mother-in-law on that end. But it was, it's hard for me to do the comparison thing anyway in anything that I do.
hmm
But I see a lot of people comparing grief and competing with grief. I know a lot of people competed with mine, especially in the spouse thing. Like, I just felt like people would, I miss her more. And I'm like, wow, how can people tell you that? And I had to get over that. They're missing her, and I get it. It's that part of grief. And you were just, you know, a husband. She was just, that kind of thing. So super, super tough, but I had to learn. And then that's what I try to pass on to other people, that one is going to happen. And two, some of it is just the grief playing tricks on you.
right, right. I think it's important that people know to let the feelings happen too, like those
Mm.
try to fight them because they hurt.
Oh, oh,
Hurt
yes,
bad.
that's right. You gotta go through that pain, and it hurts. Is some of the worst feelings ever. But like that windstorm we had, there's a stopping point to that. And then you just have to do something different. The damage is done, right? Your tree is already broken. Your window's broken already. Now you just got to you won't forget it. You just got to repair
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Man, that windstorm, that was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It knocked my greenhouse all awry.
See,
I was
right,
looking
and
out the window and told my husband, something's wrong with the greenhouse. It took the
yeah,
whole top of it inside
see,
and off. And so it
yeah,
was like laying sideways basically inside.
right. And it's tricky when it wasn't stormy. You know what I mean? It wasn't cloudy. It wasn't rainy. Just wind comes in out of nowhere. It's like, man. And yeah, so I was able to use that analogy. I actually even did a little post and TikTok on that in the middle of the wind. I'm like, this is going to end at some point. This is what we go through. So, yes, you hit it right on the money with
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if there was we talked a lot about grief. We've talked a lot about a lot about challenges and so forth.
that.
And getting back to the topic of what we started with was resilience in those seasons.
Yes,
If
yes.
there was a word for resilience that you could substitute to make it more personal to you, what would that word be?
Um, Love.
Love.
And yep, just lead with love, just like you lead with resilience and get it through. You know how we always say children are resilient
Mhm.
to get it through, but we can be that if we lead in love. Um, you know, getting back up takes some stuff, and getting back up and being rude to people doesn't work. Getting back up and blaming people doesn't work. But getting back up and leading for love, like I said, the reason I started Be Extra was out of love, and it was from grief and losses, from losing a wife and then getting remarried and then losing a sister in law, losing my best friend, Jason. All of those things came into play um, out of love. And so when I look back at love, I just see the resilience in it every single day. And I reflect on it literally every day.
Right. Well, so if there's any final encouragement you want to give to somebody who's facing something challenging right now, or maybe right in the smack dab in the middle of it, and they've been so long that this is going on and things are still not changing,
Yes.
what's the encouragement you would give them today?
You are not alone. That would be my biggest thing. And you might think you're the only one that experiences that. You're not. You're not alone. There's many people. It might not look exactly the same, but there's somebody laying and crying and hurting just like you are.
Mm.
And knowing that um, somebody just like you has gotten back up again, and you can get back up when you're ready. And the key word to that is when you're ready. Sometimes we try to put a time limit on it. So grief should last 3 weeks and 12. It doesn't work like that. So, um, and every day is different. And we talked about it in the beginning about we're still learning every day and that kind of thing. And I get it. I know my wife, Marissa, said she didn't really understand how it was, losing a spouse and how I felt going through. And then she had some losses that come up and was like, I really understand where you're coming from now when it comes to that. And so, uh, again, to answer your question is you are not alone.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. That's actually some of the things I close out on when we close out this podcast
Oh,
is so you kind of started my close out for me there,
there
Brian.
we go. See, I gave you an assist like Magic and Bird. That's how we did it.
But I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your
Thank you.
story and being willing to encourage others. I think that's the whole idea behind this podcast is to give people hope for tomorrow or even maybe
Yep.
hope for today. You know,
Yes.
that we can get through today and maybe we'll go to sleep tonight and tomorrow will be better, or
Yes.
we can
Yes.
take that one breath and look around us and realize in that this moment we're okay in this moment.
Amen.
So I want to thank you again for sharing your story and being willing to to share the vulnerable side of you. That's always appreciated when people are willing to share.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today here on Resilience with Rebekah. In this episode, if anything you heard spoke to you, please feel free to share it anywhere you feel it would be helpful. And remember, you're much more resilient than you think. And as Brian said, you're not in this alone. Reach
That's
out.
right.
If you don't know where to reach out, send a message you can send a message here and say, where do I reach out for help? And be happy to try to assist in some way. And we want to let you know that, again, as Brian said, you're never alone, and we will see you next time.
All righty. See ya.